afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane, Master Propaganda Hero Psych Defender of the Fatherland, off here to an exciting 1 vs 1 on Crossroads. Between the south, we got here Hooligan, fighting for the Germany Wehrmacht, technically, though of course not the Wehrmacht faction, Oberkommando West Germany. Taking on the role here of the 9th SS Panzerdivision Hohenstaufen versus north, we got Noggano, fighting for king and country, the Commonwealth, spearheading ahead with the Guards Armoured Division. And we got a meaty choice of Feuersturm here for Hooligan with Triple Infantry versus Tactical Support, Vanguard Operations, and Special Weapons here with Triple Infantry for Noggano as well. Double section start with the Sturm Pioneer. Volksgott is the Kuban start here to Volksgott for Hooligan, who's moving up aggressive with the Sturm Pioneers, probably trying to take up if there's anything happening here and also secure territory with the barbed wire. And meanwhile, Noggano quickly getting to work there, ordering his men the thankless task of digging a trench right next to the cutoff point. So he's actually using the Kugelwagen to try and harass instead of using the Sturm Pioneers. So a slight change there. Can in some cases work, but at the same time the Kugelwagen is just more suited for seizing a lot of territory, and the Sturm Pioneer is more suited for actually doing damage. But Hooligan clearly here having some kind of fiendish plan in mind, with a third section on the way there for Hooligan. Hooligan Noggano. Also, a quick and big thanks to Marcus for donating and supporting the Propagandacast. Most appreciated, Marcus, and if you'd like to support the Propagandacast, you can donate as well or pledge on Patreon. Links to that on the video description. You can also find a link to send any emails, you know, or email addresses and replays. So, you know, you can also do that there. But anyways, if you like to support by donating or pledging, I'd be most thankful. Anyways, back to the fight here. More folks on the way there for Hooligan. More trenches for Noggano. That's going to be a lot of trenches here, and that's going to make it a bit harder there for Hooligan to make some swifter advances, as they, of course, can only be occupied by the British for reasons unknown, and possibly, most likely, involving pacts with ancient forgotten gods made during the high points of the British Empire, involving the sacrifice of a lot of orphans. But you know how the British Empire viewed orphans at times, an expendable resource. Vickers on the way there for Noggano, quickly going up there for the cutoff point. Of course, the flamethrower choice doctor can sort of help out a bit there, Hooligan. We'll have to see how much he gains out of it. Though he's still going to need the munitions. That's one thing, he hasn't actually secured the munitions point right next to his base. So that should probably be a priority there for Hooligan if he really wants to get burning things here with the Feuersturm. Section pushed back there, a few well-placed shots from the Sturm Gewehr pushing them back here. Section dealing with the Kugelwagen here in the east, and pushing out the west side there with the Volksgrenadiere. In this case, there's no section in the trench there. Of course, they can rush to it, and without an incendiary grenade or flamethrower, he has no way of denying it. There you go, hitting the fuel point there. Kugelwagen moving up. He's going to need some repairs from his forces. We got a full squad now being dispatched there to grab the munitions point, so he can actually get the munitions for his Flammenwerfer. Quick run there for the trench, and again, Hooligan's got no way of denying that entrance there. At most, well, he can't even run to the point neutral now. So that's rather not working out for him, obviously, and the section is just going to have the upper hand even if he pulls into heavy cover. I mean, the second Fulton squad will increase the odds of doing something, but it's still going to be a bit costly if he's now got Noggano counter-attack with the Vickers in the section there. So he's going to need to fall back soon enough. We got Trot on the way there, probably be a battle group headquarters, considering its timing, though it could, of course, be setting up for the Mechanized Regiment. Sturm Pioneers moving westwards, still some time before they get the Flammenwerfer out. Trying to get away with the Vickers machine gun, and interesting note the house sort of doing it. Not bad. Not bad at all. Of course, there's a second section I've ready to replace. That, of course, going to give more section time for the Vickers moving up. No, he hits the car pump with the Kugelwagen, realizing the most of Noggano's force here towards the west there. So we can see here that Noggano is now forced to dispatch his Vickers machine gun to defend the car point, thusly freeing up more time and resources here for Hooligan to do his dirty deeds in the west. And there you go, Flammenwerfer's on the way there. Flammenwerfer's on the way. Kugelwagen needs to go. Oh, he's actually firing at the blind spot there. Reasonably clever, though, of course, the section is going to ruin that moment of revelation a bit. But there you go, flamethrower almost done. They can rush the section in the trench, force them out here. Very nice of early handling by Hooligan, actually. Really good play there to counter the trenches and use the Kugelwagen that way, sort of pressure element. And there you go, Flammenwerfers in hand. The Sturm Pioneers rush forward. We got the section coming out of the trench, but that's only going to be easier than for Hooligan to deal with them. In particular, since they're in heavy cover, and they are bunched up. And there you go. Noggano, he has to make sort of the full extent of what the situation there, sort of pull out. But at the same time, though, he's got the Vickers back in action. He was not able to tie it down for much longer with the Kugelwagen. So that's a bit unfortunate there for Hooligan. Still, he's getting most of the map here compared to Noggano. And we got the battle group headquarters out there. We got another Fulton squad splitting out there, and MD-34 on the way for Hooligan. He also now has access to the incendiary grenades. Also, hang on. Cat wants to get out. Well, it can decide if it wants to get out or not. And it decided it just wants to hang about a bit. But the problem with the door to right outside, at least the terrors being right next to my computer, the cat knows it. The cat knows. Baker's opening up there. The Fult's going to be quickly suppressed there by a swift burst of machine gun fire here. Overall, the Hooligan maintaining good map control there against Noggano. Making use of rapid aggressive tactics that here and there, not just, you know, bouncing up and sort of just trying to brute force his way through. He is constantly keeping Noggano on his toes. He's now going here for the Special Weapons Regiment. This choice seems mostly based on, you know, what is the common Oberkommando S play, you know, which is the looks. He wants to be ready for the looks, thus he's going for special weapons. The reality is, the Hooligan is not aiming for that one. He's aiming for a more infantry approach. So if he actually goes for the Special Weapons Regiment, he's going to be slightly disappointed, though not too badly, since the Special Weapons, or the Tank Hunter section there, bolted especially, is still reasonably good versus infantry. And you've got occupying the house here, keeping up pressure there, pushing back the Vickers, hitting the cuff point there instead. Good pressure there by Hooligan. Good pressure. Section out there versus the MD-34, slowly being suppressed. Slowly, but not surely. And pretty much just pushing them right next there to the trench, leaving the men here of the Guards Armoured Division in a bit of a stick situation versus the 9th SS Hohenstaufen. One of two, well, that's technically almost last remaining SS Panther divisions actually raised besides the 12th SS. Though they were, I think, roughly raised around the same time actually. And the 9th and 10th SS actually fought for the, well, most of 1944 together until, well, roughly late 1944, in which case one was kept on the western front, the other was sent to the eastern front. But continued fighting around the cuff point here, keeps Noggano a bit down. Armoured car on the way there to pressure Hooligan, who actually does have no anti-tank weapons, so there's a small chance here that Hooligan could get punished by that, but not before he punishes Noggano for leaving himself a bit overextended here. Quick retreat there, very good. He's going to need a Raketenwerfer though. Could also consider some mines, but I can definitely would be very beneficial there to Hooligan. As we got the armoured car down the way from Noggano, who's so far still in a bit of a situation. Now we got Feuersturm about here, digging in around the eastern fuel point to guard it. MD-34 remains inside this very wrecked house. Not very structurally safe for sure. Sandbags being dug in. Here we can see the Noggano sitting up to try and flank through here. Very good work. But the fuel point has been cut off entirely, so Hooligan is all just maintaining good control early on. Taking up there very rapidly without any anti-tank there. Might be Hooligan there forgetting about the need for anti-tank, or perhaps just not caring about what the armoured car can do. And certainly it's not quite as devastating as it used to be, but it still has potential there to be disruptive and a problem for Hooligan if he's not careful. But he's so far maintaining a safe edge there. Blind hand grenade in the trench, that would certainly be quite helpful. Need to be careful with the MD-34, so that house can eventually collapse. Interesting enough, no blind hand grenade here. Seems like he's preoccupied elsewhere actually. Coolbang sitting out, truck sitting out, and still no blind hand grenade here. His men actually dying out. He could easily just won this by just popping his grenade, and there you go. Realise what's going on there, pops it in, burns out the section, but at this point it's already too late here. Hooligan's forces have suffered too much. MD-34 rushed away as well, and the armoured car there pulling back as well. In fact, almost taking out the entire MD team. Schwere panzered quarters being set up to defend the calf point there for Hooligan. Sniper there moving about with his anti-tank rifle. Reasonably sure the British did not use the anti-tank rifles like that. I'm reasonably sure in fact the only ones who were able to do it like that were the Soviets, and they primarily used that to clear out bunkers on the eastern front obviously. Trying to get the sniper there. Getting good hits in there, but taking also a lot of damage from the British. And the Kublai finally goes down, having done quite a bit of work there versus Noggano, to be honest. Noggano following up with Bren guns for his infantry to support versus those damnable Huns. Fresh infantry moving up westwards. Noting by the way that he's actually laid down sandbags here in a way that makes it very difficult for his opponent to use the cover there. And basically force them to have to rely on the light cover. So that's pretty neat. They're using the terrain then, sort of light cover to set up for heavy cover. Very neat little trick there. But he's still not going for any Raketen efforts. I'd have to say that is increasingly ambitious by Hooligan, or perhaps a bit of a silly decision. Hard to say this specifically, but it's definitely not one I would agree with, delaying about this long, and Cat is back in. And ooh, we got recruit losses. A rarely utilised ability, to be honest. But it does help Hooligan there suffer through some of the manpower losses he'll be suffering. It does, of course, compared to a lot of the other abilities, have a much shorter sort of active time span. Got a Panzerfaust off there. Overall, he's not getting so much back there. I suppose a few manpower bits in there. But I think the limited outcome of that ability is a bit limited. Obviously, if it lasted much longer, it could quickly become overpowered, but... well, it's overall a tricky ability to, I think, get any really serious value out of. Sometime off with any armor, still no anti-tank weapons. Quickly salvaging the Kugelwagen in the center, though, for a bit of extra fuel and munitions. Sehr good. And more Bren guns being handed out there to Noggano. In the fuel point here, we got Feuersturm moving in. Noting only one squad so far has been upgraded with the Sturmgewehr here for Hooligan. The British. Not Hooligan, the Germans, not the British, damn it. Keep making those mistakes. For some reason, again, he's got the GB and the sort of Hooligan name, so I kind of want him to be British, but he's obviously playing at the bloody Germans. So that makes things a bit awkward. Troops being suppressed out in the open. That continued fighting around the centre. Only 2 Volkers left here to somehow hold back the entire British force. I think so, OMS estimating our value, Ludwig. Yeah, I get the Ubermensch, but we're not that Ubermensch. Closing in there, he's going for lines, going in, and no anti-tank weapons. Nothing to really threaten the armoured car there. Which is allowing Noggano to get a lot of value out of it against Hooligan. Sturmpon is just drawing fire without, I think, doing any serious damage. Then return to Noggano. Light infantry gun though should assist a bit here with some lightest artillery. Armor is still some time off. We can get out of Panzer IV reasonably fast enough. He can put some pressure there on Noggano and certainly get out some medium armor before Noggano has a chance for that. And now we're sort of heading soon the same spot that Hooligan is in with the armoured car. That is, Noggano doesn't have a lot of anti-tank to deal with the Panzer IV. Does have the armoured car though and the sniper, so he's a bit better prepared than Hooligan is for the armoured car, but not by a lot. And he's popping in again there. Looks like he's making another assault here. It's either that or it's a misclick. We're pushing ahead here. Going in very aggressively. Hooligan is not to be deterred. One bit. Just retreat. There we go, got some manpower back. Some, but not a lot. So I know it kind of feels like a misclick there. He's just trying out the ability to see and understand it better, so he knows when to better time it and neutralize it. It's hard to say exactly what's going on with Hooligan, but he did get the sniper there. Noggano was a bit careless, and Hooligan seized upon that very obviously, since if you can catch your opponent sniper off guard like that, you generally want the bastard very dead. Possible, incredibly dead. Folks, they almost wiped out. Not good. Here we get a push up, but halted by the Vickers again. Interesting enough, he's putting a lot less pressure on the far west flank, but he can soon go for the Panzer IV. At which point, Hooligan will be able to dictate most of the fighting again, since Noggano will be in a bit of a sticky situation when it comes to dealing with the Panzer IV. Lack of anti-tank guns or any sort of notable armour, not helping him out. MD-34 there, trying to support, but it's not quite enough on its own. Not quite enough on its own. We can see the Noggano's advancing through the centre. Also mines there. Trench being dug around the eastern victory point there. Armoured car continues to be a nice supporting element there for Noggano's forces, and overall make it harder for Noggano's or Hooligan's infantry to get anywhere. We also note here double Bren guns and Noggano's infantry, certainly making them a lot more imposing. He's also He had to make use of his doctrine, partly because I imagine it was in response to the potential of the looks, but that's not happening, so his doctrinal choice so far is basically collecting dust. And another bout here of the Colossus. 9th SS committing itself to some heavy assaults and air gun moves ahead, almost got the Vickers machine gun. Also flanks about the armoured car there. We can see that not going to respond as quickly as can. Quickly calling in the tank hunters, since now he does kind of need them, though an anti-tank gun would be better, but not faster. He's basically used them to buy time against Hooligan's armour. So Colossus not doing too much. I mean, it's 80 munitions, and he's getting, you know, 40 munitions per every second minute. So in theory, he can just keep popping it. But of course, it limits what else he can do. So it's not necessarily something I recommend, but you know, just trying to get it right there, I suppose, is better than not trying at all. There you go, tank hunters going after the Panzer IV. Not a single penetrating hit though, much to Hooligan's Panzer Crew's fortune. 6-pounder gun on the other hand easily penetrates the Panzer IV's armour. Slow advance here. Ooh, he's using the shit, which is house, which is increased looking poorly. Oh, trench here, good collapse. And there you go, gets out in time, suffers a bit of damage, but nothing serious. And there you go, double section caught out and then suppressed. We've got the tank husband supporting the anti-tank gun there, Panzer IV falling back. Back here, healing enforcement going on there for Hooligan, who's now going for Raketenwerfer. After he's gotten the Panzer IV, he then goes for the Raketenwerfer. Fair enough. Fighting around there, forces advancing on their own. Could have probably considered a slightly deeper flank there. And there we go, got the forces now moving in. As the first squad draws an awful lot of fire in there. Noggano can soon call in the Cromwell tank to that way, challenge the Panzer IV. Could also stay up for a Firefly to do it a bit more aggressively. I suppose in theory he could try and aim for the Crocodile, though that would I think be a bit awfully ambitious. Trying to replace still, or at least being attempted to replace there by Noggano's stalwart troops. Mines down here from Noggano to make it a bit harder there for Hooligan to flank up there, and also make it hard for him to use his armour. Negative Kano fans got it in the armoured cup, hands moving in, but straight in front here. Of course, draws the risk of the anti-tank gun. If he can pull off a good flank, though, that I think would serve Hooligan a lot better, in particular with the second Panzer IV. He could do a lot of damage that way to Noggano. Attacks the trench again, but this time with an tank section in it. That's going to be a bit more risky for the Panzer IV without any serious entrance support. There you go. Quick anti-tank grenade there. Anti-tank opening up there. Bit of a mistake there by Hooligan overall with his Panzer IV. Trying to attack an entrenched position without infantry support. Not really what the Panzer IV excels at. In particular when he knows there's an anti-tank gun nearby. That was a bit silly, shall we say. A bit silly. Now we got the infantry attack in the tank hunter section, which can't defend nearly as well. Say a branch section. It looks like Noggano is in fact aiming for the Crocodile here. Well, that may be other Firefly, but even the Firefly you can get now. So it seems like he's aiming for the Crocodile, which seems a bit awfully ambitious. But then again, if we can just... Nope! No, he's not going for it. He's going for hammer tactics. We might actually see the Comet here. We might actually see the Comet. It's hammer time. Got the Vickers blasting away there from behind the tombstone. And the Panzer IV receiving most vital repairs.
Hammer tactics are on the way.
There we go, hammer tactics up. So that means he's actually aiming for the Comet tank. Now that's interesting. He's also digging a trench there on his opponent's fuel point. Very good work there by Noggano. Hooligan can now go for a second Panzer IV. He could also try and aim for a Panther. Or theoretically try and stay up for the King Tiger. I think going for a King Tiger now might be a bit ambitious with only one Panzer IV on the field really. But he could be pushing for a more immediate advantage with just more medium armour now. So definitely not recommend aiming for a King Tiger now. Not what I'd recommend remotely. The understanding force they're getting covered here by a section up north as well. Mine's going down there. We can see Noggano's further just digging in, trying to restrict hooligans moving across the map, then just make it hard for them to attack any place. And that's basically the rules sort of the playing to the British strengths. They're making use of the trenches, mines, and sandbags. It's certainly giving Hooligan then increasingly a hard time. Who's going for second light infantry gun to counter all the dug-in elements from Noggano. But no sign of a second Panzer IV. Might then be a Panther he's aiming for, or it could be the King Tiger.
We're losing a capture point.
Armoured car 6-pounder gun rushing eastwards here to try and deal with the German Panzer. And goes straight into the 6-pounder gun of the armoured car and taking down to almost half health there. Next volley of shots though managed to miss the Panzer IV. And there you go, got the Comet on the way there from Noggano. Initially handed out to the 11th Armoured Division. As a fun fact. Had a shortened 17-pounder gun as its main gun, though which was redesignated as the 77mm gun to avoid causing confusion with counter ammunition and resupplying, so you wouldn't accidentally end up with the guns for the shortened gun for, say, the 17-pounder gun or vice versa. So that's a little fun note there.
A capture point is being overrun. There's a Comet tank ready to go.
That's definitely quite a Panther there from Hooligan. There go, good hit on the Panzer IV through the hedges. Got recoil losses moving hit there. Panzer IV all the way down to close to half health there. Got the sappers wiped there, bit of a loss there, bit of a loss. Troops being suppressed there, taken out in the centre, and up west side got another attack here. Need to retreat the troops in the centre. And there you go, got the Comet with its 77mm gun opening up there, and those bloody Jerrys, and the Jerrys run straight into a mine there. Putting out our manpower, which should help those opposing the theatre towards it. Interesting enough, that not succeed very much there. You could also go for Jagdpanzer, obviously, to help counter the Comet there. There we go, Panther Hooligan and the Panther Thestion Pioneer take a serious hit here from the Comet. Panther needs to blitz, again therefore nowhere need to be seen. Eventually 2 gained. That's going to be 1 Panther 4 down here. Caught Hooligan off guard. They shouldn't have been repairing his Panther 4 that close to the front line when he knew there was a Comet about, to be honest. That was a tactical misstep there, which Noggano was able to punish quite soundly there. With the Comet, do not underestimate it. Some players seem to have after it got nerfed, but the thing is, the Comet is still really good. It's just not insanely good anymore. But the Comet still amounts to a cheaper Panther for the most part. That, well, cheaper to get, not necessarily cheaper per number, but overall cheaper sort of in that way to get. Panther with better anti-infantry abilities, but less range. Slightly less armour. Plus access to smoke and white phosphorus later on. And there you go, got the Panther out here for Hooligan. Got the section firing weather with a single Bren gun. Panther holding back. He does not want to give it, I think, too fast there towards Noggano. Get it just hit with a lot of things. Artillery fire there, bombarding the basic position behind increasingly diminishing number of barrels as they blow up, but interesting enough not hurt the section.
Damned enemies trying to take a point from us.
Good things though, German installed all these barrel of fireworks, which are surprisingly harmless. Despite technically a barrel full of fireworks would be still quite lethal. At this range anyways. Panther takes some rear hits there from the anti-tank rifles. In fact, the original Panther was quite vulnerable to anti-tank rifles. In fact, it was causing them to design the Panther 2, in fact, very shortly after the Panther 1 was hit on the field because, well, they didn't know what to do with it. So then someone came up with the idea of adding armoured side skirts to the Panther, then they scrapped the entire Panther 2 project. So a little fun sight. Now there we go. Comet there opening up, causing more harm there to Hooligan's infantry. Got an anti tank here flying up for the west side. Before it's going to Sturm Pioneer. We've got Section Vickers there ready to deal with that. Putting some more pressure there on Hooligan. If he can get rid of the anti-tank gun, that would assist Hooligan here quite nicely versus Noggano. Another option would be consider calling in at least another academy to help deal here with the Noggano's comets and other vehicles and armor. There you go, another hit there on the Panther. Need to get that fixed up. Another penetrating hit there through the hedges, but there you go, 6 Panther gun silenced. Of course, with the Panther down to less than half health, we got the Comet going straight for it. Both shoot and miss. Problem is, with the amount of health the Panther's left, it's only going to require a few shots in there. Artillery called in, need to get the troops away from it. Get the troops away, like coming in. Ah! Hooligan 9! McKinnon there for white. Comet escaping here, blasting away at the Germans, those damn dirty Jerrys. Panther fire's going off there, slightly damaging the frontal arm, but overall not attuned too much there as the Comet. Half health in the Shroud Planted Quarters, Panther being repaired up through the center. We got MG34 versus Armoured Carquet out some incendiary arm pistol. Now he does so, to help damage it a bit there. Not going to do a huge deal, but certainly do a bit more than otherwise. And there we go, another squad wiped by the artillery called in here. Concentrated fire operation, certainly putting some concentrated fire on Hooligan. Panther swiftly being fixed up here by the Sturm Pioneer. He's almost got the fuel there for the Jagdpanzer. He needs to repair the Shroud Planted Quarters because if Hooligan could just drive, oh, knock it on me, damn it, could just drive his Comet and blow it to bits at this point. Another recruit losses here. Losses being suffered, casualties piling up. KNF opening up but not quite heading. Got the Panther moving up. There you go, pension hit there, but the training hit as well. They also need to retreat. And there you go, he's actually got the manpower more or less now for the Jagdpanzer. On the other hand, Noggano's calling in a second Comet. There you go, 6 Panther gun lands, another pension hit on the frontal armor of the Panther. Bits of Ludwig there flying across the map. At least assume it's Ludwig. Quick advance here. Once the Germans retract their positions, fall back to more defensible ground. And again, we're paying a bit close to the front line. There you go, Pension hit. Comet this time around misses though. Small victory for Hooligan's Panther. There we go, another penetrating hit, another missing hit. There we go. We quick got war speed there to get the devil out of there. 6 Panther gun under fire here. Sturm Panther is moving up. Shroud Panther called him down. He's not saving up for a Jagdpanzer. I think he's in for another Panther here. And base is a bit risky, but of course, if we can make it last, it would be great. But now we got the second Comet tank through the central road here. Oh dear, machine gun wasn't quite paying attention. That automatically sets up, and it's about to get wiped out by the Comet. And ooh, gets away though. Pretty lucky there for Hooligan. Pretty damn lucky. But his Panther's going to be out there for some time now versus Noggano. Again, and there you go, got the coming down. The Stranger Mine, in front of the Kidnap and the Panther. Legends 1 gained here. More Panther first off. Big mistake here, but Noggano got overconfident, and now the wrath of the Third Reich is falling upon him like a mighty hammer. It was a bit slow there pursuing with the Panther, though, of course, he's still heavily damaged. He's obviously not too keen on it. But he's risking here the Comet escaping. So yeah, that's a Comet that actually gets away despite walking straight in, partly because it was way too slow in actually getting the Panther within range of the Comet, so that way land a few good hits. And the thing to keep in mind is the Panther does have more range than the Comet, so it wouldn't have been impossible here for, Hooligan to shoot it from a safe distance. But he's saving up there for a second Panther. Question is going to get there because he's increasingly lacking fuel, and Noggano is not. He's got 45 fuel per minute versus 13. There's more than a 3 times fuel difference there between the two. Fixing up the Panther there. British infantry slowly moving up here and there, and we got the 6-pounder gun moving up. Comet that just keeps hammering away. Veteran 2. There you go, goes for the Scrap Panther. Quarters Panther needs about to deal with it. Rearmor exposed from the Panther. Not good there, certainly needs to hit there for the Comet. Panther down to half health, but we've also got a hit there from the 6-pounder go. McKenna for flanking behind the Comet, landing a good hit. And another good hit. No, it misses. It misses. Panther moving in, takes penetrating hit there from the Comet. Half 8 to Veteran 2, but will be able to last that long. Might as well, I think, focus on repairing the Panther run the Scrap Panther quarters, which I would consider a lost cause on this point. He should have gone for a Yak Panther, to be honest. He should have gone for the Yak Panther. And there he goes, fair up. Panther quarters down, and now he doesn't know any sort of else to call in except the Flammhetzer, which is not going to help him versus 2 Comets. So right there, I think Hooligan made the wrong bet. You should have, I think, just betted on the Yak Panther and just hope you could sort of do some damage alongside your Panther with that one. Instead, now he has to call in the Flammhetzer, which won't do anything versus the Comets. So there we go. Rolling in here to support the 9th SS Panzer Division Hohenstaufen.
Damned enemies trying to take a point from us.
Comet rolling in there, engaging the full scummies head on. Panther close to being ready. A machine gun there to the Flammhetzer, which was based on the Hetzer chassis. There was also another sort of thing that was based on it. It was basically one with a 150mm gun, but there was like only one of them made. They also tried to make an armoured personnel carrier version of it, known as the Feuersturm. That never really took off in time either.
Enemy causing trouble, trying to take one of our points.
Burning away the section there. But still, Veteran 2 Panther will be harder for Noggano to deal with. And now he's going for more Raketen. In fact, he's now up to 3 Raketen efforts. It rather feels awful late here for Hooligan to get that many out. And the armoured car barrier from Noggano is still on the field. A lot of trenches being dug in. He sort of seems to have sussed out that Hooligan keeps attacking here, so he might as well dig in and make it a lot harder for him to push through. I think that is definitely a very sound decision there. And overall, Hooligan should like to try to attack through here. But again, if you sort of continue the pattern here for Hooligan, he's just going to attack into the trenches or the Comet and whatnot and just get murdered. Of course, the Flammhetzer will help a bit in clearing out the trenches. There you go, burning it out. Now they're trying to wait for Hooligan. That's going to likely be a mechanized regiment. And then a play at a King Tiger. So Hooligan seems to be a bit locked down. I mean, he's got a decent force here versus Noggano. Problem is, Noggano's got an even more decent force, and he's got more resources than Hooligan to quickly replace any losses, including Comet losses. So that makes it a lot harder here for Hooligan to really affect anything, particularly sitting he's a bit on the defense, but then he keeps attacking into this spot. But there you go. Comet moving ahead into the Panther Academy. There you go. Several penetrating hits on the Panther despite Veteran 2 there. More Academy setting up. Other one not moving. Others too slow moving. There you go. Flanking the Panther easily. Should have kept his distance rather than allowing it to close in, which pretty much more or less negates his arm advantage to an extent. And there you go. Panther goes down. Truck looks about to go down as well here. And this, the Comets get away here, and with that, Hooligans more or less have his armoured force decapitated, since without the Panther's really got no way of seriously affecting the Comets. He did some damage to them.
Threatening a capture point.
Now he's actually going for another Shroud Punted Quarters, also quick scamming the other one. Burning up the section there with a Flammhetzer. The Flammhetzer was designed for clearing out the bunkers of the Maginot Line when they were trying to counterattack it during Operation Nordwind, as a fun fact. Casualties piling up. The Hooligans barely got any infantry left now as well. Another chill shot called in here. Forcing Hooligan to cancel it. Got the AC rushing straight for the Flammhetzer. Forced to turn like Kenners to deal with that, leaving them weak to a frontal assault by the Comets as soon as they're ready. And there you go, one being gates here from an entrenched section, quickly wiping out like Kenneth and forcing it to retreat. Pretty bad news there for further bad news for Hooligan, really. There you go, still good hits on the Flammhetzer. Got something right with the 6-pounder gun by the Sturmpioneer. Flammhead's about to go down, and there you go. Got a hit there on the armoured car, but there you go, Fulton coming in. Panzerfausting, and... oh, they get wiped by the artillery right before they can get off the Panzerfaust. And the armoured car gets the Flammhetzer. Oh dear. There you go, GG, game over. A loss for Hooligan, a victory there for Noggano. A victory for King and Country, the Commonwealth. A bloody fight right here on the Crossroads involving comets, a lot of them, even a Flammhetzer, flamethrowers and whatnot, and a lot of recoil losses though. Overall, it's just a weak ability in part because it's really difficult to get any sort of serious value out of it for 80 munitions during that time period, it feels like, but I guess it helped him a bit in the fight there. Overall, I think the issue for Hooligan was just he didn't get a Ked method to deal with the armoured car prepared for it with a serious amount of mines, which overall allowed Noggano to then gain control of the field because he had no way of countering it, while he then tried to play for the armor himself. So I think that was one mistake there by Hooligan. Had he gone for a kid enough sooner, I think could have dealt with and actually, gained better map control that way, made it hard for Noggano to then go for all those comets, which really made it difficult there. Hooligan also made mistakes of repairing his tanks too close to the front line, and his Panther was a little too close to the enemy tanks and allowed to close in on it, which overall nullified a lot of the Panther's advantages, which certainly did not help Hooligan out. But also, increasingly, he just got on the defensive, didn't try to push through here or do any sort of serious damage there, which also made it even easier for Noggano to then deal with him. So there were some issues there with Hooligan as the game progressed. But overall, nice aggressive start, just wasn't able to keep it up as the game went on, securing Noggano victory there in the longer run. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned something from it. If you did, subscribe, like, share, and comment on it. A big thank you, of course, to all my Patreon supporters, without which this episode would not have been possible. This is Imperial Dane. Cheers. Thank you all for watching. Hope to see you all tomorrow for another exciting episode. Bye.